What they want to do is essentially make abortion unavailable.
I admire Margaret Sanger enormously. I am really in awe of her.
I honestly don't know how you can be in awe of this woman, especially if you have read anything about her or know what she really truly believed in or how Planned Parenthood came about. You have to remember that this is during the Progressive era. And on the other side of the ocean were the Fabian Socialists. They are from the same tree and they bear the same kind of fruit. The Fabian Socialists were George Bernard Shaw and H.G. Wells, and they're still going on. Remember, this is the stained glass window that shows them heating the world up, setting it on fire, and then pounding it on the anvil, shaping the world closer to their heart's desire. These people did not, but they believed that there was a superior race. These are the ultimate ranchers. It is from the Fabian Socialists and the Progressives that we get the death camps in Germany in the 1930s. Margaret Sanger was an amazing progressive, but she wasn't the only one that thought this way. Supreme Court Justice Oliver Wendell Holmes said in 1927, "It is better for all the world if instead of waiting to execute degenerate offspring for a crime or let them starve for their imbecility, society can prevent those who are manifestly unfit from continuing their kind. 3 generations of imbeciles are enough." This is 1924. This is, let's sterilize people. We'll decide who is an imbecile and who is not. Let's kill them. Compassionately, let's kill them. I'm going to show you a diagram. This is again from the Progressive era. This is a diagram of workers. You see, you have the idiot. They're mentally 3 years old. Self-preservation is as high as they can go. Simple menial work, low-grade imbecile, 4 to 5 years old. Median imbecile is somebody who only has a mental age of 6 to 8 years old. They can do simple manual work. Complex manual work can be done by a high-grade imbecile, 8 to 10 years old. And a moron is mostly 10 to 12 years old, and they can do work requiring no reason or judgment. Those people should be exterminated. I want to show you, this is that page, and let me just give you a little bit of it. They talk about how we should examine people, and if there are any of these, we should fingerprint them and maybe send them off to an island. But they go on to say, strange to say, strong opposition to institutional treatment of the imbeciles often comes from parents, even when such care of the sick or defective child would be a great relief to the family. This is another proof of the need of a campaign to educate parents. What they're saying here is they need to educate parents that your kids are morons. Let us take them. Let us take them. For compassion, it'll be easier for the family. Well, the Fabian Socialists were actually ahead of the American progressives on this one. They had thought about it for a long time. And of course, beloved playwright George Bernard Shaw, he talked about people who are just too stupid to be kept alive. Here he is, George Bernard Shaw, on imbeciles.
If you're not pulling your weight in the social vote, if you're not producing as much as you consume, or perhaps a little more, then clearly we cannot use the big organization of our society for the purpose of keeping you alive, because your life does not benefit us, and it can't be of very much use to yourself.
Explain yourself. Go to in front of a panel and explain yourself. Justify your life. And if you can't, well, I mean, you're of no use to us, and your life is no use to you, so we'll have to kill you. He was the first one to come up with death chambers that later the Germans used. See, the reason why this always goes bad is because there's always somebody who somebody else thinks, if we just get rid of these people, This is why you can't judge whose life is worth living and whose life is not worth living. You have to be very clear. All life is worth living. Otherwise, somebody as famous as Alexander Graham Bell is going to judge. He thought, let's kill him. Or Teddy Roosevelt. I know people just love Teddy Roosevelt. Let me show you this. This is a letter from Teddy Roosevelt from the Outlook. Can you bring it up here? He was at the Outlook in New York when he wrote this. And one of the doctors who's putting one of these camps together, Charles Davenport, he was a eugenist. He was somebody who says, hey, eugenics is a better way to living. And he writes in this, Teddy Roosevelt writes back, he says, any group of farmers who permitted their best stock not to breed and let all the increase come from the worst stock would be treated as fit inmates for an asylum. Yet we fail to understand that such conduct is rational compared to the conduct of the motion which permits unlimited breeding from the worst stocks. He's talking about people. He goes on to say, it encourages or connives at the cold selfishness or the twisted sentimentality, as a result of which men and women ought to marry and have large families, remain celibate, or have no children, or only one or two. Someday we will realize the prime duty and inescapable duty of the good citizen of the right type is to leave his or her blood behind him in the world. And we have no business to perpetuate the citizens of the wrong type. Theodore Roosevelt. It was very popular with progressives. Joseph P. Kennedy and Rose Kennedy had a child of special needs. Her name was Rosemary. I don't know if you know, she was the reason Kennedy started the Special Olympics. Eunice Kennedy was the sister. Dad believed in eugenics. Dad was embarrassed by the imbecile. So Dad sent the family away and didn't tell anybody in the family, including Rose, that he was going to take the imbecile of the family, the embarrassment of the family, and give her a lobotomy. Because she was an embarrassment, and it would be easier on the family. Eunice Shriver, I think, was horrified by that. I'm guessing. But that's why she started Special Olympics. I think in the end that we are going to be the ones thought of as special needs, not the Olympians. This philosophy is no different. It's happening still in America. Overseas, we showed you this about a year ago. This is a woman on the BBC saying it's the compassionate thing as a mother to kill your child. Watch.
If I were a mother of a suffering child, I would be the first to want, a deeply suffering child, I would be the first to want to put a pillow over its face.
Doctor, that's a pretty horrifying thing to say, that you would put a pillow over.
Of course I would, if it was a child I really loved who is in agony. I think any good mother would.
Okay. The one thing that you will argue, or people will argue, is, well, you going to take care of them? Yes. Yes. The system is overloaded with parents who want nothing more than to care for an unwanted child. 2 million parents are currently waiting to adopt. I know what it feels like because my wife and I waited for our child for a long time. My child, Rafe, is the product of a teenager in trouble. She did the bravest thing any young girl could do. She gave birth and then gave our son to us. So the answer is yes, we will take care of the children. Back in a minute.